back in the day when you would get those spam chain emails saying that you had to forward this to 15 of your friends or you'd be haunted by some evil demon for the rest of your life, or something equally ridiculous? Well, these emails are kind of like that, except they were all actually terrifying. Welcome back, most amazing crew. My name is Kennedy, and on today's video we are talking creepy or even criminal emails. So buckle up, because this is the top 10 unsettling emails with disturbing backstories. Starting us off at number 10. Dead man typing. Because of how life, works, you don't expect to ever hear from someone again after they die. And while for obvious reasons we can assume this was some kind of hacker at play, that doesn't really make it any less creepy. In June of 2011, Jack Froese passed away, but 5 months later, friends began receiving messages from his email account. One friend, Tim Hart, thought he was dreaming when he saw the email from his dead friend's email with a subject line that read, "I'm watching you." I mean, honestly, already a very creepy start. A little shell-shocked and confused, he decided to open up the email, and inside, it instructed him to, quote, "clean your effing attic," which wouldn't be so strange if it hadn't been a major topic of discussion amongst the two friends just days prior to Jack's death. Tim wasn't alone in these weird emails. Other friends received them, but they were never able to figure out who they came from or why someone was messing around with them. Coming in at number 9, Father David. A priest, Father David, who lived and worked in a small town in New York, went to check the church emails one day only to find a weird email with no title from an address he didn't recognize. Upon opening the email though, his computer crashed and he got a blue screen, and he struggled to turn it back on for quite some time. Eventually, he managed to restart the computer, but when it turned back on, all his files had disappeared. He was unable to open up any applications, including the internet, and the desktop photo was a shockingly disturbing picture of Satan, which, I mean, as far as hacking the church goes, is pretty on the nose. However, the creepiest part of this whole ordeal is that, according to Father David, was that whoever was doing this to him made a distorted laughing sound play, further terrifying the old man. Coming in at number 8, a date gone wrong. Have you ever been on a date where you're trying to lightly let the other person down, but they just won't take the hint? Well, that's what happened in our next story here, except in her case, the man could not fathom why she would not be interested in him. According to the Post, after a first date in 2011, which was at a Starbucks, the woman tried to let the guy down easily, saying that she just didn't really see it going anywhere. The man, however, I guess believed this was insane behavior, and so he decided to Google this woman's name and find her email so that he could harass her about her decision. How charming, right? The emails he sent included things like, "I think you're overworked, over-caffeinated, and underslept, and not making a rational decision here. If you honestly believe that I was in any way pressuring you to move fast into something you weren't comfortable with, or that I am obsessed with you, or whatever it is you feel the problem is, because this is what we would call not obsessed behavior." After that, he goes on to explain how beautiful she is and how amazing they would be together, which, once again, she's just not into, my friend. Leave it alone. Thankfully, that's as far as this strange encounter went, but I can imagine this poor girl was a bit freaked out for a while. Coming in at number 7, Lovesick Stalker. This next one comes from a Reddit user, PMJM, who shared a disturbing series of emails they received from their stalker. Reddit user starts off by explaining they're a former DJ for a California radio station, and then while he isn't the most famous guy out there, he's definitely a public figure. According to the user, he received over 4,000 emails from this woman, along with 5,000 blog posts that were made about her infatuation and obsession with him. He explains that as he is in the public eye, he's used to getting a weird message now and then, but what he received from this woman was far beyond acceptable and actually made him fear for his safety. Quote, "The recent emails have gotten very dark and violent in tone. Today she sent one saying she was going to find me and hurt me and happily go to jail. In another one, she listed the specific neighborhood in which I live. If she knows this, I'm certain she has my address. In an effort to stem the flow of information, I deleted all of my social media accounts a while back, back, but she still emails me pictures I appear in from friends who have public profiles, as well as radio station photos that I must appear in. She also sent photos of a kind of shrine she has made of me in her home with framed photos from my social media that she has posted up on walls. Talk about a violation. Coming in at number 6, Sandy Mcnolty. Recently divorced, Sandy decided to sign up for Match.com. However, strangely, a few days later, she received a disturbing email that addressed her by her full name, which she didn't put up on her profile, saying that they knew about her recent divorce and thought they would make a great couple, asking Sandy to get back to them about what she thought. While this is strange, it doesn't seem too harmful until you find out that the email was signed anonymously, which is an immediate red flag. Was this her ex-husband messing with her? Sandy wasn't sure. But then she realized there was an attachment to the email. When she opened it, it was, well, a picture of a man's downstairs area. She knew right away it was definitely not her ex-husband. From there, the emails became more frequent and more violent, threatening Sandy's safety. But Sandy just tried to ignore the harassment. That was until one night when they sent a picture of the side of her house. Thankfully, at this point, she decided to block the email sender and never heard from this creep again. Next up at number 5, a business proposition. This next one actually was posted online by the YouTuber Amazing Phil, and Phil begins by explaining he received this email back in 2008. So in the subject line it reads, a business proposition, buy your channel? Phil immediately assumes it's spam, but is intrigued and figures he'll probably get a laugh. The email reads, quote, hello Philip, my name is Harold and I enjoy your videos alone but also with my partner Susan. After seeing your latest few, we felt your creativity has blossomed and needs to be shared. I can make this possible and I have a few suggestions with you to make you blossom as a creator, a human, and also a friend. This Harold character then explains that this will be a paid opportunity for hard cash and that Phil can continue to post on the channel, but he will be a creative partner. Now, this is where it gets weird. Harold explains, quote, this is mainly related to reaching a nirvana-like state through various methods I have scientifically studied and plan to post on my website. He then lists out several propositions for Phil. The first being that Harold will stay in the UK but will work together. Harold will buy him clothes and Phil will review them for the channel, but also he would come on to tickle him for a fun video, and also they would have water fights together. Another proposition was that Phil would move to California and live with him and his partner, where he would be paid $1,000 a week so long as he, quote, participated in activities on their website, which, if you ask me, is exactly what it sounds like. Another suggestion was that they could build a box for Phil to see if he can escape it. I mean, what? Thankfully, Phil just left this email alone, but can you imagine if someone had followed him up on this? I have a sneaky suspicion it could have landed them on an episode of Dateline. Coming in at number 4, a text notification. One Reddit user posted a few years ago saying the creepiest message they ever received was when they got a text from an unknown number notifying them to check their email immediately. A little creeped out, they went to their email and there, at the top of their inbox, was an email with the subject line, download this immediately. When he opened up the email, whoever this was knew his full name, home address, and phone number, and along with that, they had 5 attached files. 4 files were photos and 1 was a downloadable link. Each photo related to something personal in Reddit user's life. 1 was a photo of his house, another a picture of his mom from when she was young, the third a picture of him as a boy, and the 4th was, worst of all, a random picture of a creepy looking middle-aged man. Thankfully, our Reddit friend was creeped out enough by the photos that he didn't dare download whatever was in that 5th file, and he reported the whole incident to the police right away. Coming in at number 3, an evil stalker. Yet another creepy stalker on the list. The only good thing about this story is that we actually know who it is, and thankfully he got caught for his disgusting crimes. The perpetrator in question was a man named Eric Baldwin, and he was an ex-software engineer who would download images of students, mainly from the University of Colorado, but also from all around the country, and would then upload upload them onto adult sites and list their actual contact information, causing further harassment of the victims. He stalked more than 50 women this way. However, it didn't stop there. After he stole these women's property and uploaded them online without their consent, he would email them as well as their friends and families links to the sites stating how he fantasized about kidnapping, hurting, and committing SA on these women. In one email directly to a victim, he wrote, quote, "I will find you and watch you, sticking to the shadows, learning your patterns. When the time is right, I will strike." Thankfully, in 2017, after fully admitting to harassing these women, he was arrested and sentenced to 14 years in federal prison for stalking and making interstate threats. Coming in at number 2, the principal. For this next story, this was posted online a few years back, but names were changed as the woman did not want to give out her real name. So she calls herself Jen. While attending her freshman year in high school, Jen was a pretty and popular girl who would often get lots of male attention. Unfortunately, both from appropriate and not appropriate suitors. One day, Jen got an email from the dean explaining that her grades could be improved and that he wanted to talk to her about it at some point. However, strangely, at the bottom of the email, he specified to please not respond. A week passed and Jen received another email, this time asking her to meet at the back of the school at 7 a.m. And so Jen did as she was told. The day came and Jen went to the back of the school, but when she arrived, her dean wasn't there. All of a sudden, she saw a man poke his head out from behind the dumpsters, and more frightened than she had ever been, Jen ran all the way home and told her parents immediately, who reported the incident to the school directly. As it turns out, the emails had never come from the dean, but had come from some kind of website that allows people to send fake anonymous emails. It was never found out who the creep was that was stalking her, but thankfully she got out alive and unharmed. And last up in our number 1 spot, Blackmail. In March of 2019, a man named Joe Albanese received a disturbing email. For starters, the subject line was his password, so right away he knew something wasn't right. When he opened up the email, it read, quote, "Hey Joe, all you really need to know is that I know your password and other personal information. I won't come after you. I won't harm you, as long as you send me a small amount of money, $5,000 in the form of Bitcoin. If you don't send me the money, bad things may happen. Don't even bother going to the police. This email is untraceable." At first, Joe figured this was some kind of scam, so he tried to call his bluff and replied, quote, "What other personal information of mine do you currently possess? I'd love to know." But to Joe's surprise, he got a response from the creep that stated his full home address and threatened that he would be sorry if he took this to the police. At this point, Joe starts freaking out a bit, but figured maybe if he just left it alone, it would go away. But 3 days later, he got another email saying, quote, "I'm still waiting for the payment. I won't wait much longer." Joe replied saying he was not going to pay and that he would hurt him if they tried to show up at his house. And disturbingly, that night, Joe got another email, this time a photo of the outside of his house. Now, really afraid, Joe tried to reason with him, explaining he didn't have the money and that he lived with his parents, so to please keep them out of this. However, within an hour, someone threw a brick through the downstairs window and ran off into the night. At this point, Joe had to come clean about the blackmail, at which point his parents intervened and got the police involved, who told Joe to block the user. Thankfully, he was never bothered again. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know down in the comments below the creepiest email you've ever received. And with that, I'm out. See you next time, friends.